What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hit that like button as you come in. Hit that like button as you come in. Well, as you know, I got to get set up for the live, but tonight I'm coming on for the most part just to kind of say what's up to everybody. And as you see, tonight is story time. So that's what I want to get into a little bit. Because today has been adventurous, to say the least. I'm having a little issue with the Patreon exclusive content, so I'm gonna have to do a couple tricks to get this thing right like I want it. And once it's done, it's going up on the site, and it's going to be for those that are Patreon contributors. And let me give you guys a story. Because one of the things that I've noticed throughout the day, because like I said, I've had several conversations with people throughout the day, and most of them ran along the same lines, and it's something that I constantly talk about. And it's a lot of people are getting hung up with wanting to tell their side of the story. Now, the reason why I go so deep into this is simply for one reason. Nobody cares about your side. Like, it's irrelevant as hell. But everybody still wants to feel like they have to defend themselves or go out and get an explanation for something or do something to which I'm not sure what it is. But I know one of the examples I gave today was the greatest show on turf. The greatest show on turf was I believe they were still the Los Angeles Rams at the time, and it was Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk and a host of other NFL players that were amazing. Their best defense was their awesome offense. These guys were putting up near 40 points every game. So whenever they won the championship, it wasn't because they had a great defense. They didn't care about defense. Their defense was putting points on the board. Can you match us? But that's where we come in when we're dealing with setting up things in court. We are the ones that have to be the offense because we have the right to confront the accuser, right? So that means the person or entity that is doing the accusing, they're the ones that actually have to prove anything. They're the ones that have to tell a story that shows or illustrates your guilt. You don't have to defend that. You have to make them do their job. Now, it's only when they do their job is when you have anything to do. And that's to take apart what they believe they proved. But until that happens, this is the reason why I don't support doing an affidavit. Because why am I telling you my defense when I haven't even seen your offense? And one of the great examples of this is how I interpret an affidavit. I'm going to give it to you as clear as I can. I interpret an affidavit because, one, most people don't understand it doesn't get put on the record until trial. Because an affidavit has to be spoken on or brought up during trial. So if you never get to trial, that affidavit has just given away strategy. That's it. But again, I'm going to go back to the football analogies because a lot of people hate the New England Patriots because often they're getting caught up with having other teams' playbooks. That's the way I look at an affidavit. Somebody is being given a playbook and you're the one handing it over to them. So in doing so, I am a strong believer in not telling your side of the story. So tonight, is, while it may be quicker than it needs to be, but I feel it was something that needed to be stated. Because for whatever reason, no matter how often I say it, no matter who I say it to, it's the exact same thing that needs to be said constantly. Nobody cares about your side. Stop trying to prove your point, because nobody cares about your point. The point that you need to have illustrated is the one of the accuser. Make them do their job. It's just like whenever I talked about the police officer on last week. Make the police officer do their job properly. Because while we rather hold somebody that's working at McDonald's at a higher standard than we hold those that are making six figures as a police officer, it just befuddles me. Because even cops don't believe that cops should be held to a higher standard and be forced to do a job that they volunteered for. Because that's what happens when you go out and you fill out an application, you go through training, you're volunteering for that position. You're making yourself available for it. And the one thing that I was always taught, if you're going to do something, do it right. And which is why I don't just throw content out. I don't just put up a bunch of damn videos that have no meaning behind or purpose. These are the reasons why I look at things a lot differently than most people do. Because I want to make sure I'm giving you something that's right. I don't have to be the one that's right all the time, which is why I don't mind having conversations or discussions, which is even one of those great things why on Sundays, I encourage people to have dialogue with me. I want to have those interactions. I want to hear the questions that you guys have. Because believe it or not, a lot of the questions are going to be the same. And for the most part, the reason why they're the same is because a lot of us are caught up in the actual programming of what we think is law versus what I'm showing you as law. Because just to give you a quick stage, is a lot of folks, whenever they're going to court, they lose focus on what the actual purpose of their court visit is, which is why I talk about staying focused on the issue. If you say I did something, we're going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about anything else other than what you said I did. And then you're going to have to prove that I did it. And you probably heard me say this 100 times prior before as well. I'm like Steve Harvey. I don't care if you have video of me with my social security number tattooed on my ass. You are going to have to prove it's me. I don't care anything about the rest of that. You're going to have to show me it's me. You're going to need 12 people plus Jesus to prove that I did that, because I can't just give it to you. And even like one of the comments that I had with a young man a couple of days ago was, I want you, I'm not going to concede anything. That's why I speak about map hearings. That's why I go into times of detention. That's why I also talk about the sobriety tests. Don't take them. Because not only, let's say the stop is cool, I don't have to participate in your investigation. I can sit there and be quiet because you are the one that has to articulate, not me. I am not a police officer. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to say anything. Because if you haven't figured out, oh, well, I'm doing the investigation, okay, cool. You got 19 minutes. And I can sit there and be quiet. I don't have to talk to you. Just like I talked about showed you in video 23 of 100. The El Paso officer goes, all you had to do was participate. No, he doesn't have to participate. He has the right to remain silent. Those are things that are done through exercise. These are the things that I'm trying to get across. I'm giving to you these things little bit at a time, because I want to make sure you understand context. And even tonight, I had a great conversation because a great example was given, which means you guys are going to get a good video because it's going to give you something to where I'm gonna give you something because the context of the conversation actually enlightened me. Because just like I told you guys before, I was given a situation, and one attorney told me, he said, "You know what? You think it's good?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Don't turn it in. Go beat yourself." And I was like, "Okay, what the hell does that mean?" He said, "Okay, you know every aspect of the case as the defendant." I said, "Cool." He said, "Now go be the prosecutor with what you know as a defendant and beat it." And that is the one thing that I always reiterate, because you have to make sure there are no surprises. You have to make sure you know not only what it is that you're going to present, and you are staying focused on your issue, but it's also knowing what they can and probably will bring up, because the nature of the beast never changes. It just goes from state to state. Only the actors, that's it. That's why a lot of times people will say something to me, and I'm listening for keywords, and I can tell them exactly what the judge did. I can tell them what the prosecutor said, and they're like, "How do you know that?" Because the nature of the beast does not change. And I'm gonna take a poll in the next day or so, because I want to find out, do you guys want me to do like Skype interviews on Sunday with the call-in question and answer session, or do the question and answer session then have a call-in, or have the call-in for multiple people, or how we want to do that? Because again, this show is about educating not only myself but everyone that's involved. Because just to give you guys a little bit of context, I spoke about how a lot of the videos are being demonetized, and I think Jingy actually speaks, and also Ali also speaks about how my notifications are not going out, even though these guys have been subscribers for years, literally, and they're not getting notifications anymore for my live videos. So, and I talked about the demonetization and blah, 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 blah. What I love is the fact that a lot of you guys have still found a way to donate. And, it's been, for a cup of coffee. I appreciate that, because I actually did go get my cup of coffee. And as my girl go, my sandwich, I went and got my sandwich. But at the end of the day, you have people that are in law school, that are paralegals. You have a guy, Bruce today put 25 on it. And that was a gift for my daughter for her birthday, because today is her birthday. So, you can hit one of them donation links for her, because I'm sending it all straight to her. I'm not touching it. It's for her. Not for the channel. It's for her. But anyway, the amount is not important. But it's the fact that these guys are saying, "You know what? I appreciate what you're doing." I look at guys like Joshua. Joshua was in a hard situation, and Joshua still sends $10 a week. You look at a young woman like Robin. Robin has had a few issues. She's had even attorneys that told her, "Hey, go out and get a loan." And at the end of the day, they fucked her over. And she still manages to find a way to say, "Hey, you know what? I don't have much, but here's $20. Let's keep the channel going." These are the sacrifices that I appreciate from you guys. Because what I appreciate is the fact that when we're going out, we're understanding. If I could Jingy, but again, that's actually a good point, because Jingy, I actually want you on the show one time. So I'm gonna definitely need you to kind of chime in what you're looking for, because you've always been there, and I appreciate your back and forth with everybody. But back to the half-ass point I was making. The fact that everybody is contributing to the channel, it's not just my channel. This is for the betterment of all of us. Because the only way we can have an opportunity to actually win, be safe, and actually be encouraged is to actually all stand together and literally increase the number of 5% to at least 7. Because if you look at 200 million people that are cited every month, 200 million people are cited every month. 180 million, oh, excuse me, I actually said that wrong. It's 2 million people are cited every month across the country. Out of that 2 million, 1.8 million actually just pay the citation. You have less than 200,000 people that actually stand up and fight. What if we added an extra 200,000? Because you got 1.6 now that just say, what if we now have 400,000 instead of 200,000 that's actually saying, you know what, damn all this. These are the things that has to happen. These are the things that have to be recognized. Because if you know something is wrong, why keep allowing it to go on? And that's one of the questions I have for tonight. That's part of my story tonight. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about wanting to fight, but it's the idea of knowing that I can actually walk out. Oh, absolutely, Hollow. But because I'm gonna bring up something, because I look at a place that I was at. I was in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta for a long time, and forever I'll love Atlanta. Hell yeah, ATL, peace up, A-Town down. I'll forever love Atlanta. However, I will never go back. The problem is, when I was looking at something one day, and it kind of caught me, because it was a post I put up. I put it up a couple of years ago because it was from a book, random ass book I read. And it talked about 75% of people never leave the place they're born at. And that got me thinking about my dad. You deal with right now gonna be right there when you come back. And he would always refer to it as coming back. He never talked about when I grew up. He always talked about coming back. And I never understood that. But what I did understand was when I was coming back to Augusta, coming back to Atlanta, I can literally go to the same exact blocks and see the same exact dudes that was there that my father was telling me about back 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And then I look at the aspect of even Atlanta, because we call them Grady babies, just like T.I. said in ATL. Never been outside 285 and proud of it. When I look at the places that I've been, I've looked at the aspect of policing on many different angles. I've had actual cops that helped me. That's why I told a cop the other day, I don't think anybody hates cops. And I'll go on the record, nobody hates cops. I don't think there is an absolute soul that hates cops. I do know there are millions of people that hate poor policing. I know millions of people that hate bad corruption that's done through revenue instead of law enforcement. And just like I asked a friend of mine who is a police officer, I said, okay, we complain about the blue wall. We get it. All right, yeah, it is what it is, right? If I'm going to complain about the blue wall, right? How can they say, I'm looking at somebody that's a cop. I said, how can you say that that's your brother, but you can't correct your brother's action? Because if you can't correct their actions, do you really love them? Because if I do something stupid, I guarantee you there'll be 10 of you guys that's in my inbox talking about, hey, dude, what's going on with you? Why? Because you are your brother's keeper. Regardless of how it's done, if I say something stupid, guess what? There's going to be a flood in my inbox. Why? Because everybody on here knows they can speak their mind directly to me. Everybody knows everything that's going on. There can be accountability. I'm not too grown to learn anything. And I'm also not too shy or too much of a to actually accept criticism or be corrected. And I appreciate you guys for that. But if I couldn't accept correction, do I really care about what I'm doing? If I couldn't accept someone else's different opinion about what I'm talking about, maybe, because just like I talked about Dexter, it is what it is. Because I've been bringing the name up lately because it took me a second to understand what Dexter was doing. Dexter would post stuff while I'm doing a live. That irritated the shit out of me. I never said anything, but it irritated the shit out of me. But then I was actually getting ready to comment back to Dexter one day, and then I realized, oh my God, this brother here, he's actually giving me a little direction. Why? Because even if he disagrees with something I say, you know what he does? This is why. This right here is why. Because now that allows me to be more crisp in my explanation. Because I want to keep it so simple even a child can understand. While other than my profanity, this is something that you can actually relate to your children, because this is something that your children need. Now, they may not be able to absorb all of it at one time, which, you know, it is what it is. But they'll be able to understand as they go on later. Because even my children, whenever I was trying to give it to them as they were growing up, they were like, yeah, no. But now I go home and these kids they're watching my videos and they're like, oh. And it baffled me when I first thought about it. But then one of my older kids goes, you know what? When you was giving it to me as dad, I didn't want to hear it. It's cool. I didn't want to hear it. He said, but now you're a dude on YouTube. I was like, are you serious? I'm in the house with you. What? But however they need to absorb it, this is still something that you can go to your library and get. They still have those. This is something that you can go to your law libraries on the university campus, because even places such as UTEP, you can go to their law library. You can actually sit down and go through case after case and understand, okay, this is what it is. Then you can go and learn the application, because you'll start seeing certain cases show up again and again and again. And this is why whenever I'm giving out certain examples or I'm giving out these things, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying become repetitious. I don't intend to be that dude that just saying the same shit over and over and over and over and over. But guess how you learn? Guess how those situations now become second nature? Because it becomes instinctual, because you constantly heard it. It's constantly going into your subconscious. These are the things that I'm doing, not for myself. Not just for myself. Because giving it to you guys through something that I've applied it. Some form of yeah, no. No, Horizon, I'm good. I ain't doing no sprints and layups. And what I actually appreciate is, like I say, you guys hold me to a standard. And that is the exact standard that we should hold everyone to. And I appreciate that. So, in closing for the night, tomorrow I'm going to actually do something that's a little different. But also tomorrow evening, I'm going to have a podcast, and I'm possibly going to do a live on tomorrow before the fight, because you guys know it's Saturday. I'm watching the fight on Saturdays. Just know that this fight is going down. But also Sunday, I need you guys to give me a time, because I'm going to post up, I'm going to set it up, and hopefully it'll let me go through, because tonight I did a reset and reinstalled the app on my phone. So as you can see, it's working. But I need a good time for everybody, because I know here, as long as the Lakers not playing, I'm free. So, and I'm on Mountain Time. And I'm thinking probably about 3 p.m. Mountain Time, which would be 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 5 p.m. Eastern. If that's a good time for everybody, let's go with that. Because again, I also want you guys to comment and let me know. One, if you guys know how to do this live, because I can actually do it on my computer, and have someone call in on Skype or some means to be a part of the show. Because I think that helps all of us, and that'll also be something that, hell,